Rebranding the cross, when the weapon became the brand.
Today, we're going to talk about the cross, but maybe not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're going to peel back the layers and get to the pretty brutal truth about where it came from. Because its original meaning, it's a whole different world from what it represents to most people today.
Okay, so let's just jump right in and look at this huge disconnect. For so many people today, you see a cross and you think faith, sacrifice, redemption, right? But back in the day, it was the exact opposite. It meant terror. It meant shame. It meant the crushing, absolute power of the state. So how in the world did a symbol of state-sponsored terror become this global icon of faith? Well, that's the story we're going to unpack.
All right, first things first, we have to rewind the clock way back to a time before the cross had anything to do with Christianity. Back then, it was just a tool, a Roman tool, a brutal weapon of control, and trust me, it had zero to do with religion.
You see, crucifixion wasn't just about ending a life. Oh no, it was pure, calculated political theater. The goal wasn't just maximum pain, though there was plenty of that. It was about maximum humiliation and terror. And that terror wasn't just for the person on the cross, it was for every single person who was forced to watch it happen.
So who got this horrific treatment? Well, one thing's for sure, not Roman citizens. Never. This was reserved for the people Rome considered, disposable. Slaves, rebels, insurrectionists, anyone who dared to stand up to them. It was a giant public billboard declaring that in the eyes of the empire, you just weren't fully human.
I mean, just imagine it. Every single cross you'd see lining a Roman road was screaming one simple, brutal message. This is what happens when you mess with Rome. This had nothing to do with justice. It was all about showing off, broadcasting absolute, terrifying power to keep everyone else in line.
And, for Jesus' contemporaries, there was a whole other layer to this horror. According to their own Jewish law, from the book of Deuteronomy, anyone who was hung on a tree was considered cursed by God. So for those first followers, this symbol wasn't just about Roman cruelty. It was also a sign of being utterly abandoned by God, the ultimate shame.
So when you think about all that, that horrifying context, it's really no surprise that the first Christians wanted absolutely nothing to do with the symbol of the cross. Their focus, it was on something else entirely.
Here's a really key distinction. The apostles, they never went around preaching, honor the cross. That would have been insane to them. No, they preached Christ crucified. And that difference, it's huge. Their whole message was that God took Rome's worst, most terrifying symbol of death and completely flipped it on its head through the resurrection. The focus was always on the person and the victory over death, not the nasty torture device itself.
Okay, so if the cross was a total non-starter, you've got to be wondering, what symbols did the early church use? How did they identify each other? What represented their faith? Well, they used symbols of life, of hope, of safety. Things like the fish, the anchor, or the image of a shepherd carrying a lamb. All of these pointed to life, to community, to resurrection. They were literally the exact opposite of what the cross stood for, which, by the way, was still being used by Rome to execute people at that time. And this was the deal for 300 years. The cross was this traumatic thing that you just didn't touch, you avoided it. But then we get to the 4th century and everything changes because of one guy, the Roman Emperor Constantine. And this, my friends, is where the great imperial rebrand begins.
It's actually pretty stunning when you lay it out on a timeline. It goes from being a Roman execution tool to something Christians actively avoided for centuries, and then bam, suddenly it's slapped on a Roman military banner. How on earth did that happen?
Well, the story goes that right before this huge battle, Emperor Constantine has a vision. He sees a cross in the sky and with it a message. In this sign, conquer. And boom, just like that, a symbol of ultimate shame and oppression becomes a weapon of war.
And with that one move, the rebrand was basically complete. The cross goes from being a symbol of oppression used by the Roman state to a symbol of imperial authority used for the Roman state. Its meaning got totally turned on its head. It was now tied directly to the very empire it once symbolized defiance against. Just let that sink in for a second. The exact symbol that Rome used to kill Jesus became the symbol Rome used to rule in his name. The irony is just staggering. And that one historical twist has shaped everything for the last, 1,700 years. So,
What's the fallout from this massive imperial rebrand? What do we remember today? And maybe more importantly, what got lost in the shuffle when a symbol's meaning gets flipped so dramatically?
Well, what happens is the focus naturally shifts, right? The death, the suffering, the sacrifice, all of that becomes front and center. But in that process, other really crucial parts of the story started to get overshadowed. Things like the resurrection, which is all about defeating that very state power, or the teachings about a totally different kind of kingdom, or just the general emphasis on life. I mean, an image of death is powerful, for sure, but the idea of resurrection, that's revolutionary.
And this all kind of leaves us with a big final question to think about. When we look at the cross today, is it functioning as a symbol of transformation, of hope, or has it, in some ways, actually drifted back towards its original Roman design as a symbol of power, of allegiance, of control? The history is messy, and there really isn't a simple answer.
If the cross put it to death, we tag it, tow it, and refuse to resurrect it. Share it if it helped you. Subscribe if someone else needs it. We sow truth the way Jesus taught, not the way man demands.